Hello everybody, welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith. I feel like I have a few more brain cells available to me today compared to yesterday's lackluster efforts. I was really just kind of so overwhelmed by not being able to find the threads of logic I even needed to begin puzzles. So we'll spend a little time here, and if we're not making any other progress, we can divert over to one of the other sections. I don't think I saw this puzzle, or at least if we did, I don't remember seeing it. Maximum of 8, rose windows polyomino. So the interesting thing about this guy, of course, is that it could be this, could be that, could be this. This has to be part of that. No, it doesn't. Because this can come out into any direction. I was like, oh, it has to escape its bounds, but no, it can go into the bounds of any other red. This must get to a blue, though. And it can't be that one. So it could be that. It could be that, except this traps this into a separate area. So am I happy with the notion that it's probably that? In fact, it must be that because it can't be this. And we can't leave negative space on the outside edge of it. So I put a box around that. Boom. Right. Now we've got a lot of open space here that we need to consume with a group or another. That's 7. That would be 8. 20 divided by 3 is going to be probably 887 or thereabouts. Hold on. Let's re-evaluate that a second, because this is an area of 28. Must have a region at most 8. But this has to be a region of 4, whichever way we cut it. So that means what's left must be 3 regions of 8. So that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Glad I figured that out. Alright, a nice start. All regions must have an area of at most 6 roses. 49 total, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 areas of at most 6. This area is going to have to take this red, because if we took a different red, that would be 6 without the blue in it. I guess, no, it could be that. Could hypothetically be that. Well, this guy has to get out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put a box around it. This then must be part of that group, which must be part of that, which must be part of that. Could be this, hypothetically. Could be that, hypothetically, but that must be a line. This has to get out, which means that has to get out, which means that's 5, that's 6. Put a box around it. That means this has to get out. This is all feeling very familiar to the first time I tried this puzzle, but hopefully my logic can stand up. Now this can't come out, so that would have to be an area with a box around it. Does the math on that? This is 35. Most 6. 6, 12, 18, 24, 32, 38. That seems to be fine to exist the way it does. So that must come to there. Can't go to there. So that must come down to there. Could take up some of this volume if we just needed to add more volume. At most 6, and this needs a red and a blue, which would have to be that. That could take up more volume of this if I needed it to. Okay, we've broken it. We have broken it because this guy needs a red. How do you get to a red? You can't go to there. So this is the only red that can reach, I believe. I believe that is a true statement. Because it can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. So that must attach to that, which is an unexpected development. If you take this blue, you guys can't combine to that. So you must take that blue, you must take this blue. You guys have to get out. One, two, three, four, five, six. Doesn't get up to there. I'm so stumped as to how this cell touches a red and a blue in a way that follows our rules. Because it can't do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that can happen. I just can't count. So that's a group of 5 because that has to get out. Those can join together. Those can join together. Hey, we got one. Okay. Good. All right, we're making more progress than we had been previously. And that's a great sensation. I remember fighting this, though. Regions must have an area of at least 12. 90. But with so many cornery things. Like, if this exists, it can't go out to there. And like they say, we can fill things in that we know are true. Like these all being different, but the corners could be the same because the corners don't share an opposing line. But I don't know how I'd visualize that to like mean anything more to me. Because it's like thinking about where things can get out of the kind of regions that they start in. Like this is an interesting problem. How do we make something that touches this and this count to 12? Like how do they get out? Let's do that. How does this cell and this cell get out into regions that count to 12 without double backing onto another wall? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But then we can't go to here. So this region needs more volume from this region. But not that one. So that's 12. And that has to come out. Then that has to come out to there. That has to be different and come out to there because they're on both these sides of that. Then that has to be different coming out of there. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perhaps. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And change, but not here. This has to be a different one coming out. Areas of at least 12. This is 12. Has to get out. Then that has to be different. 8. That has to get out and be different. And that has to get out and be different. How? How do we get all these lines out into this space? It's the pinching around these corners just makes no sense to my brain about how we break into this puzzle as like a series of logical steps rather than just like following the rules as we vibe along. That's 12, that's 12. Like, this can't get out. I can't see the in to that puzzle, so I'm going to stop trying. Maybe we can learn more ways in from other puzzles. These I just completely noped out of yesterday, so we can try them now and see if we get anywhere. Ranges between 3 and 5 with Gemini and Delta. Well, that can't be a 3, because this is then a different shape. If we do that, it tells me the rules are different. But they have to be areas between 3 and 5. So that has to be an L of 4. And then this is either going to be that L of 4 and that L of 4. I'm just not sure which yet. But that's a good deduction to start with, I think. So this has to have a different shape between 3 and 5. It can't be this horseshoe, because we can't make a horseshoe around there. So this has to be 3, because it can't be 4, and it can't be 5. So that has to be 3. This has to be a 3 or larger region. If it's a 3, this can't make that shape there. So I think that has to be 5, and that has to be 4. And then that has to be a 5 to match this. So far I like this. This is going to be a 5 because it can't be a 2 and a 3. Then we just have to keep this going. This can't be a 2, has to be at least a 3. Could be a 4 or a 5. The shape doesn't matter too much. Oh no, it does matter because it's touching this L5 and this L5, so this has to be different. This can be a straight 4. But how does this become an L5? That can become a straight 5. That can become an L5. So far the rules are still happy. Now they're not, because I can't do that. Which is a bummer, because everything else was up to that point was looking pretty good. So this will either have to be this or this. So we can put those in. So let's reconfigure what we can do here then. Areas between 3 and 5. We can do 3 and 3 here. Then that can be 5. And that can go there. Then that makes a 4 there. Alas, we can't have a 2 here. So, best guess is that that's not 5 long down there, though it's the only way it seems to make sense with this corner matching that shape, matching that shape. Oh. No, I couldn't do a 3 and a 3 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Where did my logic break down? Just clear it, just clear it. So, between 3 and 5. Is there any reason that this can't be a 4? Yes, because we can't put a 4 in here. No, because this shape and this shape must be different. Could it be a 3 and a 4? No, because we can't make a corner come over here, is what we decided. So that has to be a 4 or a 5. Can't be a 5 for being a horseshoe, must be a 4. It's locked in. That means this is either this or this, we decided. And this can't be a horseshoe for that, so this has to be a 3. Lock that in. Then I think I decided later that that was a 5. Could it be a 3? No. Because this has to be a 4. If that's a 4, this can't be a 2. So if this has to match that and is going not this way, because that makes a 2. So it must go this way to a 4. And this is a 5 large space. It can't be a 2 and a 3. So it must be a 5. So I'm still happy with this. Stick a stave state in it. You know? It was this side over here that I wasn't as happy with. This is either going to be this or this. So it's that or that. This must come to at least here because it's an area of 3 minimum. It can't be a 5 because this can't make that. So it's either a 3 or a 4. So it's either this or this. This can't come down far enough to make this a 3. So... And this can't be long enough to make it a 5. So this would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4, this is 4. That makes sense to me. Whether I've messed something up, we will only find out later. But so far, I feel like we've gotten this far with logic. So, where next? This, as we've just stated, from dead ends, pieces must either be a straight 3, or a straight 4, or a straight 5. Because it can't be a straight 2. So whatever this is doing has to be that or this or this. That's going to be also true right here. It's going to be this. It's going to be this. That's not what I wanted. It's going to be this or this or this as a 2, 3, a 3, 4, or 5. The same is true here as a 3, a 4, or a 5. But they can't both be 5s because it would leave a gap of 2, and we also have to worry about this Gemini here. But that's all true. This is also either going to be a 3, a 4, or a 5. I'm a child. There's a video game design thing, I think, called TTP, or Time to Penis, which is how long does it take a player of any kind of persuasion to make an image of a gentleman's Johnson in your game, if they have any capacity to do so, when you give it to a field of players. Which is an amusing thing to think about when people are designing games. Right, so this is all very good, but we need something to latch onto as a piece of logic right now. Okay, here's our next thing. This guy here has to have a 5L, which is going to be this, this, and this, plus either these two or these two. So that's going to exist. And it has to match this shape, which means this has to not match this shape. It can't, because this can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's not a problem, I think. But that would be too big. So that solves that problem. So that can be a 5. But if this is this shape, then this has to match that as a 5. But it would have to go this way. And it can't do that. Well, this could be a 4, which means it's easier to make this into a 4, which means that can be a 5. That can be 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. That can be a 3 and that can be a 5. No, because you have to be long for 2 sides of stuff. And now I'm back where I had problems before, I think. I don't know where I've gone wrong here, and I can't see it. I'm gonna decide to keep moving rather than getting frustrated. This guy, I was really struggling to rotate this in my head yesterday. So we can't do this because it makes a region of 3 in the middle. That's what I used for the thumbnail in yesterday's video, because it's a trap. So it begs the question, how can I make 2 of this shape that kind of interlock, I think? Because these 3 can go in that gap of 3, right? It's just about where does the 4 go. If this is a 4... it's 3 wide and 5 deep. So, up 1 over 1, up 4 is that shape. But obviously... hold on, are we cooking? Are we cooking? So how do we do it on for the last ones here? Can we? This is an area of 14. They have to have at least an area of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 4 remaining. How do we do it so that there's not... it would have to be... is it that? Oh, I'm so happy about that. So very happy about that. What were you? Oh, you're another one of these. Oh, my brain just doesn't like those. There's a much smaller one of these, and at least it's just Geminis, not Geminis and Deltas. But, you know, mysteries abound. So, let's do some counting. It's 25, is this? Yes. So, 25 minus the 12 is 13. Areas of at least 3, so it would be 3, 3, 3, 4. Hold on. Excuse you. How are we... that math ain't mathing. So this is 25 area. Minus the 12 equals 13. Areas of at least 3. 13 divided by 3 is 4 remainder 1. So... how on earth are we going to have... something like this, where there's 12 left over and not 13 left over? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles need to be within a Gemini. And it must have 2 regions. That's still 13. What am I missing? I can't have 2 on the same side and or both sides of a Gemini. There's something trippy going on here. The 12 can't be both sides of one of these, can it? That would be 13. So I can't make it symmetrical and be 12. There's got to be some trick that my brain can't even begin to comprehend right here. The one extra is what really trips me up here. That leaves what, 13 again? That leaves 16. Oh, because I didn't do that half of that. Dope. I was like, oh yeah, this works. No, I didn't do the other half of this line. That leaves a corner piece that just can't be. I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all. Not in the slightest do I see it. This is only a difficulty 3, so hypothetically shouldn't be so bad. All regions must have an area of at least 2. At least 2. It's so ridiculous that this puzzle spells the word minimums. Except the S is backwards, which is kind of hilarious. Right, where's most of our confinement? This looks pretty nasty. Like this would have to go 2, 2, 2, 3 or more to get out of there. But it could easily just be 3, 3, 3, 3, 4. That's just as valid. Three, 4. Can't do that 4 into that area of 1, but I haven't really started with an area of logic. I've just kind of scribbled and led off from there. I kind of want to look at, like, the U and the I next to each other as areas of 7 must either be 2, 2, 3 or 4, 3. There must be some combination of that, right? There's no other way to factorize 7. 4, 3 or 2, 2, 3. Because it can't be that big. Can't be 4. It could be 4. Because that could be 2 and 2. 3, 3, 2, 4, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. But this 1, I should have seen that ages ago. Oh, could I do... No. Could I do... 5, 5, 5. 2, 2. 4. All of that's valid. I don't know if it's going to keep being valid, but all of that's valid. And then these two just have to not be giant 5s, which I feel like I must be able to work with. The top, I'm free to kind of do... Well, it would have to be with the eye. It can't be a 2, 2, and a 4. It would have to be a 3 and a 4. So it would have to be a straight 3, because that's the only shape that we can make on the opposing side of it. 2, 2, 2. That wasn't so bad. You, I gave up on. Clearly. Oh boy. Minimum of 3 and polyominoes. Minimum of 3. Well, this looks like something very tricky. Is it going to have to be that, or is there any other way we could build this shape? I don't think we could. I think it would have to be that. That has to be that in the corner. There's no other way. That could hook over that way, or that way, or that way, or that way. But it can't be this, because this has to get out. So that must be that. And if it has to be areas of at least 3, this can't exist because that's not 3. So it's that. If that's straight, that has to go there. Then this has to be at least 3. Then for that, well, it doesn't have to go there. It could go there, and then that would still be a 3. This can't go down, so it's either that or that. It's one of those, I think. No, because it could also be that. This has to be this, or the 3 has to go on the long side, because we must have it fit into the corner. So it's either 3 with 2, or 2 with 3. Either way, then. Three with 2. So, I think it's going to have to be that way, because the only way that can then do that without there being a 1 gapper up there is this, I believe. Regions of at least 3. How can I make you work without leaving a gap that is more than 3? I can't, because this is 9. That leaves a 3 and a 2, which is no good. That leaves a 4 and a 1, which is no good. I don't like this development. I don't like this development at all. That's challenging my assumption about this then. Because how else do we do this corner? If this did this... This couldn't surround it. This can't do that. It can't do this because that leaves a 1. You can obviously do that. Can't do this. There is nowhere else we can put this that's valid, right? That is our into the puzzle. Then I don't know how we're building this. I guess, yeah, that's too long to be that. So that has to go there. How would I do this? I could do that. That would actually have to go that way, so that that can do that. That's still in the corner. That's still there. That's still a straight up piece. Areas of at least 3. Got it. So yeah, we got unstuck here because of this shape messing up my... I was like so stuck on the vertical I didn't think I could go horizontal with it, but of course we could. How are we doing on our progress? We still need 8 more. 8 is so many puzzles. I need fresh puzzles. Minimum of 8. 8, 16, 24. There's going to be an 8, an 8, and a 9. Or like a 12 and a 13 or something. My brain can't see the ins to those. That's the real problem, is like I don't see where the threads of logic start and end. 4, 5 with regions between 4 and 5. Right, start with what we know. Actually, start with a count. 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If regions are between 4 and 5, then 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20. It's not really that helpful, is it? This can't come down to here. This can't come down to here. They could take their corners. You can't take all of this because that makes you too big. So I like the idea of this, but between 4 and 5. Can't do that then. Five, 5, 5. Four. That gets stuck there. Nice. That wasn't so bad. there like a whole group of sections that I've missed somewhere? Or have I basically seen and abandoned everything? Is this even the same region? I don't know where we came in versus anything else at this point. Yeah, I guess we came in here and we've been working up towards that one. Haven't looked at this one yet. Maximum 4. Right. Lock those in. An area of at most 4. It's one of the ones that I look at it and I feel like there must be 15 different ways to do this, but evidently not. But why not? Mingle. Okay, that's gotta... How do I see this and this and just not this? That's a great question. Alright, that's gonna put some parameters on us. For sure. Right, this needs to get to a 4 in size, and this needs to get to a 4 in size without them having the same region type that touches. Can't do this because this 3 can't be this and this can't be the same shape. So now I'm just building up to find a problem and fix it and fix it and fix it again, which is not a way to solve a logic puzzle. I just don't know where my logic in right now is. Obviously do all of that. Okay. This can't be a 2 because that puts a 1 in the corner. So that's our 2. Boom. Lock it in. This can't be a 1 or a 2. So it must be at least a 3. But it must be a 3 that is different to this 3. Which means that could do that and that could be a 4. That would all be valid. That would have to be a 2. That would be our 3. This would have to be a... That could be a 1. That could be a different 3, except it can't. That 3 can't be the same as that 3. So, back that up. This 2 can't be a 2, has to be at least a 3. If that were a 4... This 4 would have to come down. That 3 would have to come down. Do that 3 back there. 2 here. That 3 would have to come out to here. This 4 needs to pick up 2 more spots. It's feeling good. Can we close the deal? Absolutely not. This is 7, which would have to be... Wait. No. This can't be a 1. If it was a 3, that could be a 2. It does. It does go. We got there. Cool. Oh. Range 3 to 4. Mingle. Neighboring regions must have different shapes. Seven, 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 seven. They're all sevens. And they all have to have a 3 and a 4 that are different from all of their neighboring 3s and 4s. So, to start, there's going to be this with one more in it somewhere. What ways can we do that and get out? If this is an L4, that can be a T and a 3. This can be a 4. And that can be a 4 and a 3. So far, all valid, just not necessarily correct. Like, I just know that I'm going to get to the bottom left corner and go, oh, no, I've come unstuck. Well, this shape, I think, has to be either this or this, but that makes those match, so that, which would then require this to be true. This could do this and this, or this and this. So that's not really helpful yet. This piece is going to be hell just because of how many things it's surrounded by, right? Like, this can't be... This has to do at least that. At least. Could do that, but it has to do at least this. Equally, that has to do at least that. So, how do I get this to not match any of that? This is a 3, and that's a 3 or a 4. I think it would have to be... No, because then... If that's the 4 and that's the 3, that can't be the 3. Hold on, hold on. How can we make 4 and 3 out of this? It's either long and L or hook and L. If it's hook and L, this can't be Z and L. And it can't be L and long L. Right, get rid of it all. I stand by this shape having to do one of these two things. Can I differentiate something that has to be definite about this, though? Well, either way we do that... Hold on, okay, hold on. Whichever way we do this right now... The puzzle must have a unique solution. If the puzzle solution is this... with this shape in here, then this doesn't disambiguate to a unique solution. So it can't be this stuff around it. So I can't use that to start. A shape like this, to put a 3 and a 4 in it, is either this or the line goes there instead. There's the only two ways to do that. So we can leave that kind of coloured as is. And then that might inform how other pieces are made. This could be long and short, or it could be hooked and hooked. It's just finding like definite starting points, you know? Like this. Okay, I'm gonna wipe that out a second. And we're gonna do some slightly other colouring. i.e., this must touch that. That must touch that. That must touch that. That must touch that. That must touch that. This and this. And those. And that. And those. And that. And that and that. And that. And that. And this. And that. And that. And this, but it might be the same, it might not be. That's tough to know. That must touch that. This is kind of open-ended. Alright, so that's a lot of stuff, which kind of gives us the starts of things that are going to have two shapes. It's like this is either going to be this and that, or like T and bar, or not, you know? That gives us a lot of information, if very fractured information. Is there somewhere that like if there's somewhere that three of the same shape feel like they want to merge, we know that we have to break them all up to be different in one spot. This must come out to there. This must come out to here, because this can't be a 5. That must go to there, because that can't be a 5. Alright, this is getting better. So that's doing a decent chunk more colouring. Right, let's look at this section here. Right? This thing has to either be an L and a straight, or a hook and an L. Whichever way we do that, if this is a 3 and a 4, or an L and a straight, this is a trio, or an L, and this is an L. Some part of that that's touching this makes an L, whether it's this piece here always ends up as part of an L in here. So this cannot be an L. Therefore, that's a trio and that's a diagonal piece. There you go. There's a lovely piece of logic that we got from doing all the mandatory colouring. So that's either going to go there and there, or there and there, which means this must be this. Cool. Where else does that get me? There must surely be other places to do stuff like that. Can't just be that one. Well, since we already know that this is either going to be this or this to colour those, we know that this here can't be an L. So this can't be this. So this can either be a 3 or a 4. But it can't be an L. Therefore, I think that must touch that. And now we just have to wait to disambiguate whether this is T and hook or hook and Z. But I think that's correct. Because we know one of these is going to be an L. Therefore, that can't be an L. That's how we got to there. This can't be a Z. It could be a hook. So this could be this. Or this. Could be that. Or that. It can't be a Z. It's probably going to be the last puzzle we do today. It can't be a Z. But it can be a 3L or a 4L. That means that this can't be... Some part of this is going to be a 3L or a 4L. Because if this is a T, this is a 3L. If this is a Z, this is a 3L. Therefore, I believe that must be this. We're getting there. So, what do we have next? This is a Z, but this doesn't care about Zs, this doesn't care about Zs. Interestingly, just as a side thought, this room is the only room where this 2x2 can exist. Now, is that important? Not simple to know, but it does add a 4 that we can put somewhere that doesn't match any of the other 4s around it, if we need it to. But let's keep looking for good, solid logic, rather than jumping the shark into a guess. This is a Z. That's not, that's not. That can't be, that can't be. Okay. This, we decided was an L. We were happy with this. That means that this cannot be an L, and therefore must be long and like stumpy L and straight. Because if this hooked over and that was a short hook, that would hook into a piece that we've decided definitely exists. So I'm pretty happy that those definitely exist. Now, if this L definitely exists, this can't be an L, which means that must be that. Because I'm going to try and keep notes going here. This here cannot make that. So that gets to be here. Therefore, if this exists as a 3, then this must be a 4. Therefore, if this is a 3, this cannot be a 3. Therefore, that must be a T. What else do we have? Therefore, if this is a short L, this cannot be a short L. So this must be a long L and a straight piece. So we've come all the way back around on that. This must touch that. We don't know if it's going to be a T piece or a Z piece over there yet. What else do we have? If this is all correct so far, beautifully logical puzzle once we found our in. Just wonderful. This cannot be a Z piece. Could be a 3 and an L. But what do we know for sure? We know that this is a 3 L piece. So this must either be a T or a Z. Except it can't be a T, because if this was a T, it blocks that over. So that must do that, and that must do that. Now, we got this guy with a few limitations on its size and shape. This can't be... I hope this works out. God, I hope this works out. The only way that we can do this, I think, is pretty simple now. It has to be that, because we can't do an L or a straight piece. So that just kind of works out kind of nicely. Then we just have this to deal with over here. Let's hope we can keep that going. On the other side of this... Oh, let's not do that. This can't be this. If it's an L and a T there, does that all work out? Nope. If you're straight and you're the T and you're the Z. Nice. What a lovely puzzle. Like, I was so daunted with what I was getting onto over here, but as ever, and it's something I must remind myself, colouring the things that we definitely knew got us into the meat of that puzzle, and that was great. Alright, that is 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I know most of what's left is stuff that my brain has not been gelling with. So I think we'll put that down there for now. And it might be a case of coming back to this region later to give it another stab, because that's 2 days in a row now where I've looked at a lot of these puzzles and gone, oh, I don't know what I'm doing with that. And so it's probably time for some fresh puzzles next time. For now, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.